Another absolutely picture-perfect weather day in downtown Cincinnati, and a good crowd filing into Great American Ballpark. The final game of this series, a rubber game of the series, and the conclusion to this 9-game homestand. And hi again, everybody, alongside the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley and Brian Giesenslaw. I'm Tom Brenneman. Delighted to have you with us on this Wednesday afternoon. Cowboy, let's get right at it. We talked a little bit about Sal Romano last night. He's been on a good run here lately, especially his last start out against Miami.
I think the confidence is continuing to build for Sal Romano. He's continuing to move in the right direction. Still lacking that signature start, if you will, as he moves along. Today may be the day. Everything seems to be getting better and better. That sinking fastball, the ability to throw the breaking ball for a strike whenever he wants. But this right here, he's got to stop that. That is his moneymaker that he just caught that ball with. Sometimes you just have to let it roll up the middle and let your friends take care of it. Right now, Romano is on his game.
And by the way, they did bother him a little bit the next day or two with that right hand. Something to keep an eye on here today. Meanwhile, for the Mets, Zach Wheeler was mighty good for them about 3 years ago. He missed 2 years with Tommy John surgery, now on the comeback trail.
He's had quite a few arm issues. 6'4", big, tall pitcher, long arm action. The key for Wheeler right now is being able to throw strikes down in the strike zone. He's left the ball up. He's left the ball in the middle. And pitching behind in the count, well, we know all about that. That doesn't work too well.
All right, when we come back, we'll tie a ribbon around this homestand. Reds trying to get a series win with a big fella on the mound. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Sports Ohio brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time.
After a win yesterday, we're looking for another fantastic game for the Reds, right? if Mother Nature allows. Showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast. I think it's going to be more so rain than storms, which would still get a thumbs up. It just makes it a little tough to watch. 12:35 your start time against the Mets. First pitch with a 30% chance for showers and storms at 77. I think it's a little heightened past the start. 80 degrees for your 7th innings. Still a rain chance at your final out at 81.
Alrighty, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that Mother Nature's in a decent mood here today. Sneak this game in. Reds on their way to the West Coast. Mickey Callaway, first-year manager of the Mets. First time ever as a big league manager. Worked under Terry Francona as pitching coach of the Indians before landing in the Big Apple. And making his way to the mound. Grew up not all that far from Citi Field in the state of Connecticut. The right-hander Sal Romano.
I think for Romano, looking at the lineup that he faces today, it's really about Sal. It's really not about the lineup that's on the Mets side. If he's able to execute his pitches, especially the good sinking fastball, and able to keep them off balance with that breaking ball, especially breaking balls for strikes early in the ball game, I think he can have himself an awfully good game here this afternoon.
Let's take a look at the Mets lineup presented by Nissan. First start of the series for Brandon Nimmo in center field. Same thing for Flores down at third. Cabrera at second will bat third. Jay Bruce at right. Adrian Gonzalez at first. And Devin Mesoraco making his start as a New York Met after appearing as a pinch hitter after the trade yesterday in the game here last night. A latter third of Conforto. Back to familiar turf for him in left field. Wheeler bats eighth. Ahmed Rosario will bat ninth and play short. Take a look at the Reds on defense behind Romano. No Adam Duvall today. It'll be Winker in left, Hamilton in center, Schebler starting in right. Blandino for Scooter Gennett at second base, and making his first appearance as a Red is a catcher Tony Cruz, just brought up after Mesoraco was traded yesterday from AAA Louisville. So he'll get a chance to work with Romano here today. Reds going for the series win and their 10th win of his 2018 campaign after coming away with the victory 7-2 here last night. Nimmo, a former highly touted prospect. He's had to battle through either lack of production, some injuries. He's only making his 9th start of the year. When he's played very, very well. Nearly a .290 batter in his first 8 starts, 2 triples, a home run, has scored 8 runs. And in his starts, an on-base percentage of over .450. Looks at a strike one, and we're underway.
Yeah, if you remember, Tom, there was a lot of talk that Brandon Nimmo was the player coming from the Mets when the Reds traded Jay Bruce that way. Just didn't turn out.
Strike two, says Gabe Morales. He's a home plate umpire. Ed Hickox at first. Ron Culpa at second. The crew chief Jerry Meals, the umpire, at third. 0-2 on Nimmo. And that's right down the can.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Nimmo looks at 3 straight strikes to begin the game.
That's a great sign for Romano here early. Watch where this ball starts. Looks like it's going to hit me in the rib cage. That's a strike. That comeback fastball makes it awfully difficult to pull the trigger. And when you can pound the strike zone, especially early, it makes the opposition begin to chase pitches outside of the strike zone.
You know, we mentioned many, many times before as it strike one to Wilmer Flores that despite as big and strong and powerful as Romano is physically, he has never been, and nor he is this year, a big strikeout pitcher.
I think a lot of that, Tom, has to do with fastball and breaking ball location. There's no doubt that he has the physical pitches to be able to go out and dominate a ball game. But locating those pitches and throwing them with a game plan, that's where you get these types of strikeouts, especially here early.
Well, he's very much a strikeout pitcher today. 2 up, 2 down via the K.
The slider from Romano drops straight down. It's not a pitch that goes away from a right-hander or into a left-hander. So basically he can spot it on both sides of the plate and still get a swing from the hitter or a commitment from the hitter.
Remember his first 4 starts of this year, Romano had a terrible time getting out of the first inning. Well, over his last 3 starts, he's been very, very good in the opening inning. Falls behind here 2-0 on Asdrubal Cabrera, the New York second baseman, and their best offensive player so far this year. Average slightly under 330, 6 home runs and 21 driven in.
You know you've got good movement on your fastball when you throw a 2-0 heater to a dead fastball hitter and Asdrubal Cabrera, and he comes up short.
Beat him with a fastball there, popped up in a shallow left field. Winker giving chase, not going to get there, and it bounces into the stands for a ground rule double. So some bad luck there for Romano. He made a good pitch.
Made a good pitch. Ball hit off the end of the bat. Those are the times where you look back, and it's very similar to when you have Billy Hamilton in center field and a ball. Billy Hamilton's not in center field and the ball drops.
Not quite sure what Jim Riggleman is talking about with a home plate umpire, but he brought a lineup card with him.
I think there may be some differences in lineup issue from the card. And here we go. Yes,
they're
sir.
saying the batter is out, so that means he hit out of order.
Well, the lineup that we have shows Asdrubal Cabrera as the 3-hole batter, but evidently the lineup that was written out did not. That is a major mistake if you're in the Mets dugout.
Well, Gabe Morales is going to get this whole thing checked out. And Mickey Callaway's probably looking for answers. And who knows, maybe he needs to look in the mirror. In the right-hand column apparently was a lineup that was given to somebody somewhere along the line that had Cabrera batting second and Flores batting third. So that'll be the lineup the rest of the game. The Reds get a break by wiping away a 2-out double by Asdrubal Cabrera.
And Jim Riggleman was right not to do anything until something positive happened for the Mets. You don't have to do anything when Flores is striking out going back to the dugout if he's automatically the 2-hole hitter.
I want to thank Chris Welsh, who of course runs baseballrulesacademy.com, as there's a foul out by Jesse Winker against the pitcher Zach Wheeler to begin the Reds' first inning. A batter shall be called out. This is the rule on appeal when he fails to bat in his proper turn and another batter completes a time at bat in his place, and that's what happened with the 2 and the 3-hole hitters.
As soon as that ground rule double bounced over the fence, Jim Riggleman bounced out of the first base dugout.
So now you're up to speed on what's going on. One away here in the Reds' first inning. Zach Wheeler making his 6th start of the year. We talked about all the arm injuries this young man has suffered through after initially coming over in the Carlos Beltran deal to join the New York Mets from the San Francisco Giants. I mean, he was a 6th pick overall in the first round by the Giants going all the way back to 2009. In 13, made his major league debut with the Mets after being traded in 2011. And he led the Mets in starts and strikeouts during the 2014 season. He walks Peraza. And we look at the rest of the Reds lineup presented by Nissan. You've seen Winker and Peraza. Here comes Joey Votto. Suarez so hot. Schebler in the 5-hole. Blandino bats 6. The latter third of Cruz, Romano, Hamilton. Joey Votto, a .276 batter, 5 home runs, 19 runs batted in. Had a hitless game here last night, though he was on base 2 times, hit by a pitch, drew a walk, scored a run.
Now you look at the velocity and the arm speed of Zach Wheeler and you think, okay, this kid's healthy. But as far as his pitching location and the ability to repeat his mechanics or repeat location, not quite there yet. Those are things that just don't happen overnight.
Of course, Peraza is very much a base stealing threat. He has 5 of them, is yet to be thrown out. He has a very odd way of going about it compared to other base stealers, and Peraza has a chance to be a big time base stealer. He always has those hands on his knees. He looks like he's not going to run, and then you'll see him just take off. Not here, as Votto has gone swinging for the 2nd out of the inning.
Well, the part that I think Peraza is learning over a period of time, number one, at the plate, he's very cognizant of striking out. He does not want to strike out. That's why you see some of those funny swings where he just flips the ball a little pop up into right field. It's also true at first base, and it's kind of a personal thing. He doesn't want to get picked off, so he stays close to the bag even with great speed. He's just now starting to get a little comfortable where the lead is a little bit better. Take that pitch on the outside corner and drive it the other way.
Well, the hottest hitter on the planet in terms of producing runs is Eugenio Suarez. He won't drive in a run here. He will get a base hit. He's knocked in 15 runs on this homestand, which is most by a Red on a homestand since Jay Bruce in 2011.
Well, any pitch that starts on the outside corner and is beginning to come back to the plate, Suarez is going to go after. That's where he's looking. From the middle of the plate away, he wants to drive the ball the other way, catch the curveball at the front of his swing and drive it out of left field.
So 2 on 2 out here in the Reds' first inning. That brings Scott Schebler to the plate. 3 home runs, 12 knocked in. Like Suarez has spent time on the DL. Been productive when he's played. He looks at a first pitch strike. Reds continuing this 4-man outfield rotation. The trio today: Schebler, Hamilton, Winker. Of course, Duvall, the overwhelming majority of starts in left field, but off today. 0-2.
Schebler, one of those types of hitters, Tom. He can hit tape measure shots on pitches that are inside out of the right field side of the ballpark. But what makes him unique is his ability to shoot the ball the other way, even in a count where they have a situation as the Mets do right here, where you've got an open shortstop position. He's one of those guys that has enough bat control. He can shoot the ball that way. Doesn't happen all the time, but he can do it. And even more so with a left-handed pitcher on the mound.
Pull to the right side. It'll be handled by the second baseman Cabrera, and that's all for the Reds. A strand 2, end of 1. No score in Cincinnati.
Harvey comes to the Reds. 13 wins in 2015 after Tommy John surgery. He was comeback player of the year after that surgery, but then the last 2+ seasons things have taken a different turn for Matt Harvey. Jim Riggleman said earlier today he talked to Harvey last night after the game, described him as excited and anxious to get a fresh start here in Cincinnati. He also said that he expects Harvey to pitch in some capacity in Los Angeles for the Reds, but they haven't decided when or what role that might be. He said Harvey's been throwing some lengthy bullpen sessions, so starting is not out of the question in Los Angeles against the Dodgers for Matt Harvey. Guys.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. We're underway here in the second inning. 1 ball and 1 strike on Adrian Gonzalez. No score in the game. The Mets batting out of turn in the opening inning. Got a 2-out double by Asdrubal Cabrera, but in the lineup card the Reds received from the Mets clubhouse, Cabrera was supposed to bat second. Well, now all of a sudden Gonzalez is batting fourth.
And Jim Riggleman is coming back up the steps again.
Well, here he comes. I tell you what, if this happens again, this is about as bad as I've ever seen. Would you agree?
There is no doubt about it. Because Jay Bruce was supposed to be the batter. You can see Bruce in this spot here. Gonzalez is down here. This is where the issue happened in the first inning, and we just may see it again. Because once the cards are exchanged at home plate, it's over. That is how you're supposed to hit for the rest of the ball game. Now at this point in time, Cabrera would bat second. Flores would bat third for the rest of the game. We just got a mess.
I mean, this is a real mess because Jay Bruce is nowhere to be found at this point in time.
Right. And I think Jay is having a conversation with Mickey Callaway as to what the heck's going on here.
So we're technically in the 6th hole, but we're really the 5th batter in the Mets lineup.
You know what I feel like right now? I feel like I'm on the backfields in Jackson, Mississippi with my 10-year-old son hitting. Been playing his game and nobody knows what's going on.
Well, I don't know about you. That might be where you are. I feel like I am in the twilight zone. That ball is popped up to the shortstop by Devin Mesoraco, and I got to tell you, we have received no explanation as to what's going on here.
I've never seen anything like this. I've been doing this for a long time.
Okay, now they're finally updating what's happening here. Bruce was called out, so he's technically out. And I tell you, for the life of me,
well, that should not have happened because Bruce was not the batter that was out of order. It was Wilmer Flores and Asdrubal Cabrera. There were already 2 outs in that first inning. Somebody has royally messed this up.
that ball driven into right center field off the bat of Conforto. Over to cut it off, Billy Hamilton. They will hold the runner, Gonzalez, at third base, and that's a 2-base hit by Conforto. My guess is Bruce and Gonzalez were supposed to be flip-flopped as well. I think that's what's happened here. Now, on your screen, we're showing 1 out. If indeed that occurred, and we've been told nothing so far, we haven't been told anything up here. Bruce did not take his place at bat, which was supposed to be in the 4-hole, at least the lineup we were given, and obviously the one Jim Riggleman was given. So he's called out. If that's the case, it's 2 on and 2 out, but the Reds are playing their infield in as though there's 1 out in the inning. So there is major confusion here.
Well, if I'm Jim Riggleman, I'm playing this game under protest.
Wait a minute. Now we're getting it straightened out here. Bruce was called out in the 1st inning, not Cabrera. The next batter was the batter that was called out. So Bruce never had a turn at bat. Swinging a foul ball out of play. So let's start this all over again. The 1st inning went strikeout, strikeout, double, and then Bruce ruled out. You start this inning, and that's somebody trying to give us an update on exactly what's going on here. You get a single by Gonzalez, a pop-up by Mesoraco, and the double by Conforto, and there is strike 3 called to Wheeler. So Jay Bruce is penalized, and he didn't do anything wrong. But the Reds will take it. And there are 2 away in the inning. That's a 3rd strikeout for Sal Romano. 1 more out to go, and not an easy out. This will be Ahmed Rosario, who swung the bat well so far in this series. So the double will still stand for Cabrera in the 1st inning. He keeps his double. And Jay Bruce is out. And by the way, the scoring on that is an unassisted out for the catcher. So they did only call, which you can only do, 1 guy out. You can't call Cabrera out. So they call the next batter, Bruce, out, which was the final out of the 1st inning. Boy, what a mess. All right, so here we go. Runners at second and third, 2 away, and a roller out in front of the mound. Cruz says, I have it, and he does, and that's the inning. Tony Cruz might set an all-time record in this game for putouts, the way he's going so far right now. Scoreless game. We'll try and get back from the outer space when we come back.
And pencil when you can, because there has been a lot of confusion, as you guys have talked about. The home plate umpire between innings did come into the dugout to give an explanation to the press box, but still, even with that and the conversations that he's had with Jim Riggleman, there's still confusion down here between Riggleman and the staff that he has as exactly what happened and how we move forward. It's been not a simple fix so far.
In the official rules book, 6.03b, 6.07 batting out of turn. When the proper batter is called out because he has failed to bat in turn, and that would have been Cabrera in the first inning, he had the double. The next batter shall be the batter whose name follows that of the proper batter, thus called out. So that's why Bruce was called out. And we started the next inning with the number 5 hole hitter Gonzalez leading off, and now you're up to speed and we're moving on. And again, want to thank Chris Welsh at baseballrulesacademy.com sending over the proper text of that particular rule of batting out of turn. But when you're down there in the dugout and you're looking at a lineup card and all of a sudden you're seeing something totally different, you so rarely ever see it that you're almost wondering, if you ask somebody, you have to ask somebody else, saying, am I looking at this right? They're batting out of turn.
So basically, if Riggleman had come to the plate after the first pitch to his Drupal Cabrera, he would have been called out before the double. Now you stick around long enough, you see things you've never seen.
You know, it really is amazing. That's one of the things about this game that makes it so great, is that's the truth. There's a bouncing ball up the middle. Cabrera couldn't find the handle, and reaching safely is Blandino with an infield single.
Hits it up the middle. You try to get the handle, and you got a little bobble. No chance to get Blandino. Well, maybe Tony Cruz will hit a homer in his first game in a Reds uniform. Not a real good breaking ball hitter and can't lay off the breaking ball, but he seems to get around on the fastball rather well.
Cruz has spent most of his major league career. We remember him quite fondly. In fact, he played as the primary backup to Yadier Molina with the St. Louis Cardinals. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, then 16 in Kansas City. Last year spent the entire year at AAA El Paso. And the Reds brought him in, and so far this year at Louisville, 14 games, a 170 batter with a home run and 10 runs batted in. Popped up to the shortstop. That's an easy play for Rosario, and that's the first out here in the inning with the pitcher batting in the 8th spot coming up next.
So I assume if the Mets had let Jay Bruce come to the plate, they would have had themselves some kind of mess, even bigger than what they already had. Looking forward to the articles in the New York paper tomorrow.
Popped up in the air. If the Mets were to win a game, it won't be as bad. If they were to lose a game, say by a run, with a runner at second base.
You got it.
We were originally told that that double will stand for Cabrera. For some reason now we're being told they're basically saying Cabrera never had a plate appearance. They are saying that his double does not count. That's what we're being told right now.
Very interesting.
That he is 0 for 0 as a batter in this game. As though he never walked there and took an at bat, or he took an at bat and drew a walk and got hit by a pitch or reached on an error.
All Jay Bruce did was come to the plate and be announced, and he's 0 for 1.
So a nice job by Romano to advance a runner with a bunt. So Blandino is at second base, and the batter is Billy Hamilton. He's down, strike one. And quickly 0-2 on Billy. Billy had 1 hit and 4 at bats last night, 1 for 4 in the series opener, and it was his first at bat in which he hit a home run as a right-handed batter to left field off P.J. Conlon. Now he's in there as a left-handed hitter against a righty Wheeler. And the 0-2 coming, a fastball way out of the strike zone. Gone swinging on the breaking ball is Hamilton, and that'll do it for the Reds in the second inning. No scores. We go to the third.
Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Scoreless game as the Mets come to bat here in the top half of the third inning. Nimmo, the leadoff man, struck out on 3 pitches and took all 3, leading off the ball game. Well, I didn't miss by much. In fact, Romano looking into Gabe Morales, wondering where did it miss. 2-0 on Nimmo.
Well, now in the on deck circle, it will be Asdrubal Cabrera, as they have figured out in that third base dugout exactly how the order should be.
Good pitch there. Fastball ran in on his hands, and all he could do was fight it off.
Well, this is where Romano struck out Nimmo earlier. This ball stays true as a four-seamer, but Nimmo is thinking of that first at bat where it ran back to the inside corner.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Nimmo, and that ball driven into deep right center field and racing back to the wall and up against the wall. This could be 3 bases for Nimmo. He can fly. That's an easy 3. Nimmo, a very athletic player, and in limited playing time, that's already his 3rd triple this season.
May have gone to the well once too often. Another fastball inside. This one runs back to the middle and up.
So now the Mets have a runner at third to begin this third inning of a scoreless game, and the batter is Cabrera. And he bats for the first time, as though that double he dropped down the left field line never occurred. Diving play by Votto to take away a hit. The Mets will score a run, but an outstanding play to the glove side by Votto. 1-0 New York.
Hooks a breaking ball to the left of Votto. Votto had moved around trying to cover that second base hole, and able to make a nice play there.
So now Flores, who did have a turn at the plate, and his is official. It went down as a strikeout. Fouls that one off, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. And gone for a second time is Flores. Got him. Now Jay Bruce actually gets to bat.
Got Flores on a breaking ball away in his first at bat, and that was a backup breaking ball, and he swings through that one.
4 strikeouts in the game now for Romano, and here's Bruce, who officially was ruled out, catcher unassisted, though he never stepped in the batter's box. 0-1 delivery. Many teams put this shift on the left-handed batting Bruce. Of course, he broke in on May the 27th, 2008. As a Cincinnati Red, and before being traded on the 31st of July 2016, he ranked #1 among all Reds in games, home runs, RBIs, extra base hits, and triples. A liner at his old buddy Votto, and that'll end the inning. But the Mets get a run on a triple and a ground out and lead after 2.5, 1-0. Sports Ohio Instagram. Get highlights, player reactions, game insights. Follow Fox Sports OH on Instagram. 1-0. Zach Wheeler and the Mets in front of Sal Romano and the Redlegs. Top of the order for Cincinnati here in the third. Winker, Peraza, Votto. Winker fouled out to the third baseman. Jesse going through his first slow stretch of the year. He was so good the first 3 weeks, but on this homestand, 4 for 23. And the on-base percentage, which was up in the 420s, 430s, has now slipped to the 380s for the first time all year for young Mr. Jesse Winker. Nonetheless, off to a good start in this officially is his rookie year. Against a shift and a throw by Rosario. That is one slick play right there by Ahmed Rosario,
who was playing on the right field side of second and still made a nice catch and throw on the run.
That was Jose Reyes-esque of days gone by.
That was nice coverage and a great arm as well.
Peraza trying to bunt his way on, fouls it off. He's hit safely now in 13 of his last 15 games. Of course, he got off to that 0 for 12 start. In the games where he has a hit, 13 of the 15, 6 of those have been multi-hit games for a .333 batting average. Tapper back to the mound, and this will be the second out of the inning. We look at the Mets on defense, presented by Ford. Nimmo, his first start out in center. Conforto started the first 2 games in center. Now he's over to left. Flores, his first start. Rosario, Cabrera, and Gonzalez have started each of the front 2 games. And Mesoraco, his first starting assignment since the trade from the Reds to the Mets just before the game yesterday. Joey Votto struck out his first time up. Indians and Brewers are just underway. Indians have lost 4 in a row. Milwaukee's really taken it to them. St. Louis has lost 2 in a row. They're in a tie atop the National League Central between the Cardinals and the Brewers.
Cubs and Pirates have each won 2 straight. So those teams, all 4 of those teams are within a game and a half of the top spot in the National League Central. Atlanta, the division leader in the NL East by a half game over Philly. Washington starting to play well. 3 games over 500, winners of 3 in a row. A game and a half back. 2-1 to Votto. Bad luck there, foul tip. And Arizona just keeps on rolling. You know, we were talking about all the times they've played the Dodgers this year. Today when they play, it's a 2-game series. They'll wrap it up. It will be the 11th time the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers have played already this year. 11 times in roughly 35 games, roughly, as Votto's brushed back again high and tight, second time in this at bat. The only team we've seen consistently go hard in for years and years on Votto is St. Louis. Wheeler came high and tight on him twice and has struck him out twice. End of 3. 1-0 New York.
The day before this start, he spent some time at Cincinnati Children's Hospitals at the Seacrest Studios at the hospital there, the broadcast studio and media center. Took some time to visit with those kids and some very special families as well. The Reds do this at least once a month at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and Sal usually goes in a group. I talked to him today. He said yesterday it was just him, and it was a meaningful experience, as it always is for him, guys.
Well, it always is for anybody, and it's such an incredible place, and we're so blessed to have Cincinnati Children's Hospital in this community, and all they've done, not only for people in our area, but from all over the world. They travel to come here year in and year out, ranked among the top 2 children's hospitals in the United States of America, under the direction of Mr. Michael Fisher and their incredible staff and all the volunteers. Good stuff. 2-1 the count on Adrian Gonzalez, leading off the New York 4th inning. We've talked about the numbers for Gonzalez in this ballpark during his career, no matter what uniform he wears. 34 career games, 34 career runs batted in, and 14 home runs in those 34 games for Adrian Gonzalez. Got him swinging. And that's 5 strikeouts for Romano. We were talking about in the first inning how he's never been a big strikeout guy. He's putting them down today. Download the app, play for free, start your streak, and compete to win $5.6 million. Download Beat the Streak today in the App Store on MLB.com/BTS. It's a fun game. You'll enjoy it.
You almost said billion.
I know. I don't want to think, you know.
Loaded.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to be on the hook because they'd never get it.
Well, Tom said.
Yeah, Tom said. That's right. Pulled foul. Look out down there. Devin Mesoraco popped up to the shortstop, his first time up. Five strikeouts for Romano, not a single walk. He's allowed a run on 3 base hits. Mesoraco only with 42 at bats, backing up Tucker Barnhart through the first month of this season, naturally wearing a Reds uniform. And you got to believe with the injury to the Mets regular catcher Travis d'Arnaud, and we referred to this last night, if Mesoraco gets his starts and makes the most of them, the situation the Mets are in with their catching right now, he might find himself back there regularly.
Well, it's a new lease on his baseball life for Mesoraco because he was not going to play here, not in any regular basis.
Coming up later on, our Whole True Moment brought to you by Miller Lite. We invite you to stick around for that.
Got to see a slider right here.
3-2 delivery on the way. Yep, he got it, and a swing and a miss, and that's 6 strikeouts now for Romano. You called it there, Cowboy.
And you get that fastball up tight. You know the weakness with Mesoraco is the breaking ball, and that's exactly where he puts it. And you see that movement on the pitch from Romano. It starts right in the middle of the plate, and it goes straight down. There's no hump in it. It just drops.
Conforto with 2 down. He doubled to the right center field gap his first time up. Strike 1.
First changeup it appears we've seen from Romano on that last pitch.
Comes right back with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball on the outside corner. And he's ahead of Conforto at a ball and 2 strikes, looking for a perfect inning. So that'd be a question you could ask somebody. Just got to thinking about this because I don't know if I've ever heard the question asked, could you face 3 batters or not have a perfect inning but face only 3 batters? Now in the scorebook it's not going to show that, but based on what we saw in that first inning, Romano only faced 3 batters because the 4th batter was ruled out due to the Mets batting out of turn. Check swing and a appeal. He did not go around.
What would really be interesting is if he was carrying a no-hitter into the 9th inning and there was already a double in the ball game.
You're right.
That got annihilated.
That's exactly right. Boy, wouldn't that be? You're right. That's a great point. 3-2 pitch. And Romano fans the side. He has 7 of them through the front 4. Wow, we haven't seen this from the big fella before.
when you served, we stand ready to serve all military families.
As low as $10 when they take on. Cheer on Joey Votto and your Cincinnati Reds for as low as $10 when they take on the Chicago Cubs. Don't miss Fireworks Fridays, Super Saturdays, doubleheader, and Family Sundays. For tickets, go to Reds.com.
Eugenio Suarez to lead things off for the Reds here in the second inning. We brought up earlier his 15 runs batted in on this homestand. The most by a Red since Jay Bruce had 15 of them in 2011. Suarez, our IGS, bringing the energy profile. We'll go back to these numbers here in a moment. Take a look at his numbers since coming off the disabled list after having the fractured thumb. 18 runs batted in. Of more historical significance, Suarez has the 25 runs batted in only 20 games. And that ties a record for the most RBIs by a Reds player in the first 20 games of a season, going all the way back to George Crowe, previously matched by Vada Pinson and then Ken Griffey Jr. in 2006. Pretty impressive company there. It's a nice play by the pitcher. Wheeler is off to a good start here today.
If he doesn't catch it, that's a base hit. All right, Tom, I want to take a little time to tell my bride happy birthday. It's her birthday today. I know she listens and watches every ball game and can't do what I'm doing without her. Baby, you're my rock. I love you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday indeed. Now, I would imagine the kids are going to make sure that mom has a good birthday. They're not going to just run her in the ground today. Or is that wishful thinking?
They run her in the ground every day. It's tough being, well, you know, Polly knows. It's tough being a mom and dad when we're traveling and doing all the things that we're doing, trying to work and the travel that goes with it. Takes a special lady to be able to get that done.
Better believe that. And we've been blessed with that.
Because when you have two kids, you can't be at two places at one time. And every child wants a parent at their event.
Shattered bat in the hands of Shebler, and he bounces out to the first baseman. Wheeler's really throwing the ball well here today.
He's got a lot on the fastball. Wheeler has got to figure out a way to transition his aggressiveness within the strike zone on the that he has on the road, because he has been traditionally an awfully good road pitcher, but he's got to do it in New York. Now, whether that's the crowd or the pressure or whatever it is about New York, you play most of your games at home. You've got to figure out how to get it done there. And there's no doubt, looking at this kid today, he looks awfully healthy. Ball really jumping out of his hand.
Tapper back to the mound, and Wheeler with a perfect fourth. Easy fourth. 1-0 New York. Cincinnati Children's changing the outcome together. And by your local Ford dealer, Ford, go further. You know, Cowboy was talking about Wheeler and his struggles pitching in New York and throwing the ball very well on the road. Probably the single most famous case of that happening in New York happened in the Bronx going back to the early 1980s. Ed Whitson, who grew up down in Tennessee, had an outstanding major league career as a starting pitcher. He signed a big deal with the Yankees, and at the time that was a huge deal. 5 years, $4 million. Got a 6th-year option. It was unheard of. The Yanks wanted Ed Whitson. Well, he got off to a terrible start pitching in New York. 1-6 with an ERA of over 6 in his first 11 starts, and soon became a focal point for heckling New York Yankee fans. In fact, he got so bad, the hate mail, the verbal abuse, he refused to let his wife Kathleen attend any home games at Yankee Stadium. The following year, 1 year later, he's pitching against the Blue Jays. And after giving up a run early in the game, as there's a ground ball to short, Whitson proceeds to retire the next 19 batters he faces.
In New York?
In New York. Now, the bullpen would blow that game in extra innings, but when he walked off the mound in the 10th inning as a starter, the 10th inning, guys are getting taken out in the 5th inning now.
4th.
In the 10th inning, he left to a standing ovation, and from that point on, his next 16 starts in New York, he went 9-1.
That's why they talk about the game being such a mental game at this level. It's not just about the pitching part. It's about handling all of the pressure and all of the things that go with it.
Liner into center field. That'll be a base hit for Rosario.
Just because you have great talent, and we've seen it time and time again over the years, great talent will get you here. Your ability to be mentally tough is what keeps you here. And I'll tell you this, I knew Eddie Lee Whitson. He was tough.
Well, what a career he had. Won 126 games in the big league, struck out nearly 1,300 batters, and had an ERA just barely over 3.5. His career started with the Pirates in '77 and would not end until San Diego in 1991. He had 2 go-rounds with the San Diego Padres. 1-0 the count on Nimmo, who struck out. He tripled leading off the 3rd inning to right center field and scored on a ground out by Cabrera. That's the game's only run, and here we are in the 5th. Runner goes. Throw down there by Cruz, not going to be in time. That was a big time jump by Rosario. He had been thrown out his prior 2 stolen base attempts, but this one successful.
And more times than not, you get the steal on the pitcher. You could see the big leg kick of Romano, a 2-step head start. Not happening. Now, Nimmo has seen a majority of fastballs on the inside part of the plate. He made an adjustment in his second at bat, turned on the fastball. If you're Sal Romano, you've got to show this batter that you can dot the outside corner with a fastball.
2-1 the count on Nimmo, and that is taken ball 3.
Now, after the triple, Romano, if he is going in, he's trying to overthrow it. You could see that pitch had great movement, but it had too much movement, and that's just prominating too early and trying to throw it too hard.
And he walks Nimmo missing with a fastball, so that's the first walk of the game. You know, we were talking early on, and we've referenced it a couple of times about Romano, even in his minor league career, never being a big strikeout pitcher. 7 strikeouts in the first 4 innings today. He had struck out just 19 batters all year coming into this game, and the 7 strikeouts matches a single game career high for Romano, and he does it in the front 4 innings.
I think the issue for a lot of young pitchers, you have a scouting report, you go in, you pitch to that scouting report early in the ball game. As the game moves along and the second time through the lineup, these big league hitters are not stupid. They realize, okay, their game plan today is to pitch me inside. Well, you show them something in the strike zone in a different spot than where you got them out the first time and make them think a little bit. Then you can go back to the strength of the pitcher or the strength of the scouting report.
Well, this is a very important batter in this game. Clearly, Wheeler is on his game on the mound for the Mets so far here today, and this is the most dangerous hitter in the Mets lineup in Asdrubal Cabrera. His last 19 games, 6 doubles, 3 homers. He's driven in nearly a run a game, 16 of those, and a .333 batter. This guy can really hit. Been a good player, sometimes a great player. Going back to his days in both Cleveland and with the Mets.
Well, right now for Romano, just about every fastball that he's throwing, it's got good movement, good velocity, but the ball is up around the upper thigh. If it's on the corner with great movement, you'll get a foul ball as he did there. If that ball stays in the middle of the plate, Katie bar the door. Romano trying to have a ball game where he does not give up a home run. He's only had 1 of those this year. He has been home run prone in every ball game except for 1, and that was at Pittsburgh.
2-2 with 2 on and 1 out. Cabrera waiting. Romano the pause. A look back at second, and here he comes. Try to get him a chase, which he doesn't. Now, you don't see it much. The manager who did it more than any manager I can ever remember, and I'd be hard-pressed even in generations or in days where, you know, we'll never be able to know for sure. But no one ran with 1 out and a 3-2 count, depending, of course, on who the hitter was at the time and who you had running the bases. Bobby Cox did it more than any other manager, perhaps, in the history of baseball. And they have very good speed on the bases right now with a good hitter at the plate. And they're not running. Into center field. Hamilton's got it. 2 outs in the inning. I mean, it's a gamble. And that's why you don't see it very much. Don Zimmer was another. Zimmer was the only manager I've ever seen on 3-2 with 1 out that started the runners with the bases loaded.
I think a lot of that comes down to knowing your batters, knowing the ability of that batter to hit.
Sure.
Knowing, and also knowing that the batter knows that the manager is going to put the runners in motion, and anything close, you've got to swing. In this day and age, if the hitter thinks it's a hair off the outside corner, they're not swinging.
So here's Wilmer Flores. Yeah, for the first time in Major League history, you know, so much was made about more strikeouts and base hits. For the first time in Major League history in the season's first month, a record 35% of at-bats ended in either a home run, a walk, or a strikeout. And of course, the overwhelming majority would be the strikeouts and the walks. Back up through the middle. They hadn't played that way. Blandino
Nice.
Able to make the play and end the inning. Well done indeed. 1 hit, 2 left. We played 4 1/2, and the Mets have a 1-run lead. Cowboy with us on a television side here on this 3-game series, and
here.
It's been great having you here today. Both these guys are really throwing the ball well.
Yeah, I think anytime you get good pitchers throwing strikes, especially pitching ahead in the count, you're going to make it very, very difficult for hitters to hit the baseball. You look at Romano on the Red side, early in the count, 7 strikeouts. You can only get strikeouts if you get strike 1, and you get strike 1 early by pounding the strike zone. But his opponent, Zach Wheeler, is doing the same thing.
Wheeler begins his 5th inning, 57 pitches so far. He's ahead of Tony Cruz leading off the inning. Cruz to be followed by Romano and Hamilton, latter third in Jim Riggleman's lineup. Gone swinging Cruz, and that is a 4th strikeout of the afternoon for Zach Wheeler. If a red, it's a home run off that Toyota sign in right center. Joe Lally from Hamilton, Ohio will win that beautiful Tundra you see on display every day here at the ballpark. All thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Romano put down a sacrifice his first time up there to swing the bat this time. Oh, 2. It's back-to-back strikeouts to begin this inning for Zach Wheeler. Redlegs take on the Cubbies after this road trip, May 18th through the 20th. Saturday, May the 19th, be one of the first 20,000 fans through the gates for that 7:10 back end of a day-night doubleheader. You get the Reds Garden Gnome presented by Cons. You can be here for as low as $10. Reds and the Cubbies. For tickets, visit Reds.com. That'll be a Friday night game. Saturday, we mentioned a makeup for the rainout earlier this year. 1:10 is the first game, 7:10 the second game. And then a Sunday game followed by 3 against the Pirates before the Reds leave on another lengthy trip, longest of the year. They'll turn around and head back out west. Colorado, Arizona, and San Diego. So the Reds are going to be in every spot in the National League West in the next 2.5 weeks. Lined into right, Reds gone in order. 12 in a row retired by now 13 in a row by Wheeler. He leads 1-0.
We'll have the latest on the Matt Harvey trade with the Mets. Also a one-on-one conversation with Austin Bryce and Scooter Gennett back to his hometown of Lebanon, Ohio, where he was honored. We went along for that day. We'll have that story. Reds Weekly is presented by Miami Valley Gaming tonight, 6 o'clock on Fox Sports Ohio, and of course streaming on Fox Sports Go.
It's always an excellent show to check out, so we invite you to do so later on this evening. 4-5-6 in the Mets batting order. New York leads 1-0. A triple in the third inning, leading off that inning by Brandon Nimmo. And then Cabrera hit a rocket up the first base line. Joey Votto with a diving stab fed the pitcher to get the out, but the run did score. But if that's a double, you never know where we are right now. 1-1 to Bruce, who was ruled out. If some of you weren't with us earlier, the Mets hit out of turn in the first inning. And although Bruce never came to the plate, he was the following batter after the batters in front of him had batted out of turn. So he was ruled out. The catcher given credit for an unassisted putout. And then Bruce hit a laser that was caught by Votto his last time up. Bruce and other guys played very well away from home. In fact, that's really the story of this entire Mets team. He's been nearly a .365 batter on the road, a couple of home runs. And the Mets as a team are 5 games over 500 on the road. They're 3 games under at home. Now, it should be noted, they were 7-4 at home in their first 11 until the homestand just prior to coming to Cincinnati, where they lost all 6 games. They lost 3 to Atlanta and 3 to Colorado, and came rolling here on that long losing streak. But that ended in game 1. They took another loss game last night. Bruce chasing a fastball up in the strike zone and naturally pops it up for the first out in the inning. The longest Romano has pitched into a game this season is a full 6 innings. He did it his first start of the year against Washington, and he did so against Atlanta here in a Reds win. He pitched into the 6th inning his last start.
Got an opportunity to get to 7 in this ball game here today, but the issue is getting through this inning quickly.
This will be the 87th pitch of the game coming up for Romano. Gonzalez has singled and struck out. See the pitches by inning.
And the most pitches thrown was that 4th inning, and that was the inning he struck out the side.
Nothing in 2 on Adrian Gonzalez, and Romano trying to put him away. Well, he was ready for that. Way out in front. So pitch number 90 now coming up for Romano. But I tell you, that's a stat that for all of us, and boy, you know, I almost borderline on never even wanting to bring it up, because it just so dominates, it seems like, everything now, the pitch count for pitchers. And we talked a lot about it last night when Castillo was taken out of the game in the 6th inning with 80 pitches. He had given up just 1 run. And that was a home run in that 6th inning. There's a weak ground ball to the shortstop. And Suarez will throw out Gonzalez. And that's a 2nd out of the inning. And, you know, after the home run, he allowed a hit. He had walked a batter, but he did record 2 outs. And we were, you know, just talking about the whole cycle since a number of high-profile elbow injuries, all the Tommy John surgeries, and the way that Major League Baseball teams at the lowest level of their minor leagues are rarely ever letting pitchers pitch and ever reaching 100 pitches in a game. We made reference to the game a couple of weeks ago, a minor league game, a AAA game, where a pitcher was 2 outs away from throwing a perfect game, had recorded 25 outs, and when he hit the 100 pitch mark, he was taken out of the game.
I'd have had a fight on the mound.
Talking with Keith Hernandez about this topic for 25 minutes today. Boy, what a great player he was, offensively and defensively. Now an analyst for the Mets on television, has been for a long, long time. He was beside himself about Castillo being taken out of the game last night. Now, look, he's entitled to his opinion. It doesn't mean that Jim Riggleman's wrong by taking him out. It doesn't mean Keith Hernandez is right. But he just said, you know, here you guys are 8-27. You're trying to develop young pitchers and teach them for down the road when you're ready to win a game about how to get out of a jam. And he just couldn't believe it.
Well, I was talking to Keith about the same thing. I didn't have any problem with Jim taking Castillo out of the ball game last night, simply because that was more of a confidence booster rather than a pitch count issue, especially the way that the season began for Castillo. It was miserable. I mean, he didn't even get out of the 1st inning in Minnesota.
Yep.
Came back, threw the ball very well his last time out. Not quite back to where he's supposed to be. He threw better in the ball game yesterday. But I think what you're trying to do with some of these kids is build confidence so you can get them to the 7th inning. And Castillo is one of those guys, as you move along, you would have a general expectation that he could pitch 7 innings. But there are certain points in time as a manager, you have to have your starting pitcher leave the ball game with a good feeling in his gut.
3-2 again on Devin Mesoraco. He beat him on a slider the last time. Throws a fastball. Slick play by Peraza to get the out. Boy, he's playing so well right now. So well. In the field and at the plate. Peraza gets a final out of the inning.
So far, Sal Romano building on 3 to 4 good starts coming in, has 7 strikeouts in the game, including when he struck out the side in inning number 4, but he's been matched and even a little bit better by Zach Wheeler. He's coming off his worst start of the season, but he's been at his best so far here today. 2 hits through 5 innings for Wheeler, and the only difference in the game as Drupal Cabrera. That shot, that fielder's choice to first base, scored Brandon Nimmo. Gets us to 1-0. Reds trailing.
Alrighty, Brian, thank you very much. Top of the order for the Reds here in the 6th inning. It'll be Winker, Peraza, and then Votto. Wheeler's retired 12 in a row. Brian mentioned 2 hits for the Reds. Suarez had a ground ball single back up the middle in the 1st inning. Blandino had an infield single leading off the 2nd. Nary a Red has reached base since then. 12 straight.
Well, you're facing the Reds lineup for the 3rd time through. You would think that this would benefit the Reds batters.
2-1 delivery. Down the right field line, but hooking foul. And not enough on that anywhere close to get out of the ballpark. And you can buy a cheap one down there at $325. Three balls and 2 strikes. A count on Winker, who's fouled out to the 3rd baseman.
Well, what Wheeler has working in his advantage is his pitch count. This will only be pitch number 69.
And he walks Winker. That's the 2nd walk issued in the game by Wheeler. Ah, there's one of our old buddies hanging out at the ball game today. Former Bengal great wide receiver. Now, of course, one of the most well-known color analysts in all of television, regardless of sport. Our buddy, Mr. Chris Collinsworth. He's finally an empty nester around there. He's had all his kids grow up. I think one went to Florida, Chris's alma mater. He had 2 go to Notre Dame and 1 to Harvard. There's a bouncer, and Peraza legs it out. So he gets a bunt single to put runners at 1st and 2nd with nobody out to begin this Reds 6th inning.
Well, I've said this many times, but I believe Peraza can do that in his sleep. A perfect bunt down the 3rd baseline. A good enough speed as he comes out of home plate. They have a chance. So maybe the 3rd time around is a charm for the Reds here today. They need to take advantage of this opportunity right here and right now.
You mentioned your wife having a birthday. I mentioned mine, and I don't want to talk about my pal Collinsworth without mentioning Holly. She had a lot to do with those kids going off to college and doing their thing as well. All right, here's Votto. He has struck out twice against Wheeler today, not this time. Banged into right field. They're going to wave around Winker. On to 3rd goes Peraza, and it's a 1-1 game. Old adage about walks will haunt Cowboy. A walk to begin the inning after you retired 12 in a row, and he comes in to score.
Well, the Reds have seen Wheeler a couple of times through the lineup here today. You've got a general idea about what kind of velocity he's got, what kind of breaking ball, changeup, secondary pitches. Votto didn't wait around to see any of those things. First pitch he saw, rips it into right field. But now the Reds have not only the opportunity to take the lead, they've got an opportunity for a very large inning to put a little separation between themselves and the Mets.
All right, let's see. Here's the right guy at the plate. He's knocked in 15 runs on this homestand. And in 20 games so far this season, Suarez has driven in a whopping 25 runs, which puts him among the top 5 among all National League players.
Yeah, I think at a point in time earlier in the career of Suarez, the Reds tried to bat him in this 4th spot. He tried to do a little bit too much. I think now this situation, it's not overwhelming. It doesn't appear that he tries to do too much. He stays within his game plan, and talked about that earlier. Right center field is always his money. That's where he looks to drive the ball and then adjust as the pitches come to the plate.
Struck him out. That's a big out for Wheeler.
Chased one out of the strike zone.
6 strikeouts for the New York right-hander. They're at 1st and 3rd. 1 out.
That's one of those pitches for a guy that is actually looking to shoot the ball the other way. That elevated fastball that is up and away. It looks awfully good. It's just tough to get on top of.
So now Schebler with a chance to break this 1-1 tie.
This guy can hit that high ball.
Wheeler quickly ahead, 0-2. And try to get him to chase a pitch up in the strike zone, but that never had a chance to even tantalize Schebler.
That was higher than high.
And another one higher than high.
Well, what you're trying to do if you're Mesoraco behind the plate or Wheeler on the mound, you're trying to change the eye level of Schebler, make him think, all right, well, they're going to try to go up. He may come back with a breaking ball here, start it up, and then finish it down and in.
Mets have action in their bullpen for the first time today. Gesselman. He was very sharp here in the opening game of the series in a couple of innings. He does indeed try to get him with that breaking ball down and in. Blocked nicely by Mesoraco. 1st and 3rd in a 1-1 game, 1 out. We're in the last of the 6th inning.
And this is one of those pitches where you really have to trust yourself, trust your stuff. And Wheeler did not do that there. He was guarding against hanging a pitch instead of being aggressive, start it in the zone and get it out. He pulled it all the way across his body.
And he doesn't chase a high fastball. So they tried to get him to go there 3 times during the course of that at bat after getting ahead 0-2. So now they'll take their chances with Blandino with the bases loaded. Blandino had an infield single back up through the middle on a ball bobbled by Cabrera in the 2nd inning. And then he hit a tapper right back to the mound his last time up.
Yeah, this is one of those spots. If you're a veteran pitcher and you've got a young hitter at the plate, you know he wants to make something happen early. Wheeler will try to take advantage of it if he's smart on a breaking ball off the plate away. The strength of Blandino is the pitch that's middle away. He's going to try to drive it right back up the middle. That's when we've seen him hit the hardest balls that have come off his bat.
Straight up in the air, infield fly rule in effect here. And that's a second out of the inning.
Both pitches were balls, both pitches well in off the plate. But a young hitter with a game on the line, not having been in this situation a lot, you're thinking, all right, it's 1-0. He's got to come after me. I see fastball. It's nowhere near the strike zone.
All right, here's Tony Cruz, 0 for 2 in his first game as a Red. Has popped to short and struck out. Scooter Gennett is standing in the on-deck circle. That's a pitcher spot due up next. I thought after that walk to Schebler, we might have seen Gennett bat for Blandino in a 1-1 game. But I guess saving Scooter for another time. And who knows, maybe Scooter was told, hey, look, if I use you, all I'm going to do is use you for one at bat today and not play the field. And of course, if he hit for Blandino, he has to stay in the game and play the field.
And I think when you're bringing a guy back that has had some shoulder issues, maybe that's the every other day type of thing, especially day game after a night game.
Yep.
But the game plan, obviously, for the Mets is to pound Tony Cruz inside.
Here they come again. And he jerks it foul, and Wheeler gets ahead, a ball and 2 strikes. This would be quite the Houdini act if Wheeler gets out of this.
Cruz has not seen a pitch from even middle in away. Everything has either been in off the plate or right on the inside corner and hard. But you see how high that Cruz holds his hands. It's tough to get the bat back down there. High fastball here.
1-2. Here it comes. Got him swinging, inning over. Reds tie the game. They leave him loaded. We go to the 7th, 1-1 game.
Four years ago, Reds and Rocks tied at 3 in the 9th, and Joey Votto walks them off Boone Logan. And take a look at where that ball ended up. That's in the camera well above the batter's eye in center field, 400+ feet easily for Votto. on this day 4 years ago. Now back to the action here at Great American Ballpark. New ball game, 1-1, Reds and Mets.
1-1 is right, and I'm sure just walked down the hall and saw a couple of the guys from baseball ops. Just said hello, how they doing, and the first sentence out of their mouth, you know what it is before you even ask. Could have used another one or two there. But a 1-1 game as Jared Hughes replaces Sal Romano, and Votto again to the glove side. Couple of nice plays down there to that side for Joey. Well, the Peanuts gang is back in the ballpark this year. We're going to celebrate the famous comic strip and cartoon with a special ticket package. It includes an exclusive Snoopy bobblehead. Plus, the Peanuts characters will be at the ballpark. Visit reds.com/themes. And by the way, that Snoopy bobblehead is only available when you buy the theme ticket package. Jose Reyes will come up and bat for Zach Wheeler. So both starters go 6 innings. Both allow 4 hits and 1 run. Wheeler struck out 7. Romano matched his career high, striking out 7. Sal walked 1. Wheeler walked 2, and that second walk was a huge walk for Wheeler. He had retired 12 in a row going into the 6th inning and walked Jesse Winker.
Leadoff walk.
Yes. Slow roller to the right side. Blandino's going to have to hurry. Reyes still scoots up the line. It's in time.
When you have a guy with speed on a high chopper, you look up and you think, oh, there he is. If you don't have the presence of mind and a little bit of wit about you, you try to throw it too hard or try to throw it too quick. You either bobble it or you throw it over the head of the first baseman. Nice play by Blandino.
Hughes retires the first 2 here in the 7th inning, and now the batter is Ahmed Rosario. Trying to bunt his way on, and ball nearly hit him. Rosario 1 of 2. He's tapped out to the plate. In front of the plate, thrown out by Tony Cruz, and then had a sharp single, stole a base in the 5th inning. That single was into center field.
But that walk by Wheeler to Jesse Winker, the bunt by Peraza is the one that stands out in my mind. As an outstanding bunt, really no play for anybody. They did try to make a play at first base, but no chance there. And you've got Votto hitting in a situation with runners at first and second on all day long.
By the way, Jose Peraza, you know, you talked about his bunting prowess. He leads the National League with 6 bunt hits.
Maybe he and Billy should get together.
Well, in theory anyway, that ship is still in the dock. It hasn't sailed yet. Two and two the count on Rosario. We'll do it again. Todd Frazier down there, just placed on the 10-day DL. But still hanging around this Mets clubhouse, and he'll stay with the team when they go to Philadelphia. Look at Peraza. Will he get him? He got it. What a play by Peraza. That is his second sensational play of this game. And I'm not sure there's a shortstop in the National League all-around game playing any better than Peraza is right now. Now the Mets will take a look at this. No, they won't. They've already said no. Peraza is on a roll. Wow, what a play. Don't miss fireworks Friday. It's a big weekend. Super Saturday doubleheader. Family Sundays presented by Klosterman. For tickets, visit Reds.com. Well, we talked about how good Robert Gesellman looked here in the opening game. He went 2 2/3, allowed just 1 hit. He gave up 1 run, but he was rock solid for the Mets that night. Reds will have Rosell Herrera to start things. He's batting for Jared Hughes, who works a perfect inning. Eight at bats in his first major league base hit for Herrera. Be followed by Hamilton, then back to the top of the order, and Herrera pops it up. Shortstop over to get it, 1 away. Well, we know there's a threat of rain late in the afternoon. And things beginning to darken a bit coming from the west side of town. Winds picking up. Keep our fingers crossed.
Would you like for me to check my radar?
No, because when I look at it, I might get depressed. Had such a beautiful day here on Sunday, but because of the Flying Pig Marathon, the game did not start until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The Reds had started their normal time as Hamilton pops one up. This will be the second out of the inning. The game would have been played and everybody would have gotten out of here on time, of course, and fans get back home. But with the game starting at 4 after a beautiful day, some late afternoon ugly stuff came in, and it turned into just an ugly night. Or an ugly couple of hours. Had about an hour and a half rain delay. Two quick outs for the New York right-hander, and now Winker, who walked and scored the only Reds run an inning ago. Winker without a home run, and he has 10 batted in. Officially 0 for 2 in the game. Well, they can look at the radar and get bummed out. Steve Horsemeyer down there. And a 1-2-3 inning without a single noise from the Reds in the 7th. 1-1. We're off to the 8th.
And Reds Live pregame presented by Brace St. Clair Roofing, the late night edition as we go on late Tyler Mahle gets the start in game 1 of this series. It's the first West Coast swing for the Reds this year, and the first chance for Mahle, a Southern California native and a die-hard Dodger fan growing up, to pitch in the stadium 30 minutes from his family's house.
My dad did the counting and everything, and he told me I'm getting 24 tickets, but I'm paying for their tickets, but I told everyone, or I didn't tell everyone, but I told my parents, I was like, I'm not paying for everybody's tickets, you know, like they kind of have to pay their way. But no, it's going to be really cool to have everybody there.
And listen, guys, Tyler Mahle, a pretty even keel kind of a guy. He is excited about pitching tomorrow against that team in that ballpark in front of his family and friends.
That is exciting stuff indeed. We wish him the very best. He'll be on that plane when the Reds fly out of here right after the game today to Southern California.
Tell you this, Tom, going back to Atlanta when I was pitching, that was always like going back to where a lot of family came to the ball games. Most nervous, most anxious of any place that I've pitched. Didn't matter if it was a tight game, nobody in the stands, I knew my family was there. It makes a difference.
Amir Garrett takes over on the mound. He came in wild here last night. He replaced Castillo, you may recall, in the 6th inning. With only 1 runner on, 2 runners on, I beg your pardon. He walked 2 in a row, including bringing in a run. And then he got a strikeout to end the inning, and that strikeout was of the man who bats right now, Brandon Nimmo. 3-1 the count, leading off this New York 8th. And that's the 3rd walk in the last 4 batters that Amir Garrett has faced.
Well, a lot of the pitches that we saw the other night and a lot of the pitches in this at bat for Nimmo, the front foot, the landing foot for Amir Garrett, getting into the dirt quick, pulling the ball, accelerating the arm, everything off the plate away. You have to stay on the back leg as long as you can. It allows your hand to get up and work down through the strike zone.
Pretty nice play right there by Suarez to get the force out at second base on a ball hit straight up that third base line off the bat of Cabrera.
Not only a nice play by Suarez as he goes into foul territory, but the throw sails a bit high. Blandino with the presence of mind just to become a first baseman in that instance. I'm not going to turn 2. Make sure you get 1 at second base.
Now you get Wilmer Flores a batter. And you really cut down on the speed that was at first with Nimmo replaced by Cabrera as the base runner. Strike 1.
Yeah, Flores actually hit second in the 1st inning.
That's right.
Now he's hit
That's
third.
right.
Cabrera hit 3rd in the 1st inning, now hitting 2nd.
I know these aren't new rules we're playing by in baseball.
That 1st inning was a mess. How about the guy on deck and Jay Bruce? All he did was walk up to the plate. He got an 0 for 1.
He never got in the batter's box.
Got to hang with him.
I'm not even sure he ever got to the dirt circle around home plate. 1-1 the count. Threw a fastball right by Flores does Garrett. Reds will have Peraza, Votto, and Suarez in the bottom of the 8th inning. We have to turn on the lights here in a minute. It has gone from a very, very bright sunny day.
Well, let's don't turn them on until the Mets.
It's a good point.
Hitting.
And that's probably exactly what will happen. This ball is in the air, right field, playable for Schebler. 2 down. Well, this becomes an extremely important hitter in this inning now. as the rain begins to come down. And not only because you have the go-ahead run at first, and Jay Bruce, we know, is a good hitter and has been a really good player for a long time, but the guy on deck scares you all the time. So you don't want Bruce reaching base here. Against left-handers, Bruce can worry you. Gonzalez can scare you. Strike one to Bruce. Quickly 0-2. I mean to tell you, these stands are clearing out right now. It's not raining really hard, but hard enough where it becomes certainly annoying. You know, you didn't come prepared for it. And some of those who came on to cheer for the visitors starting to make a little noise. Started two, laid off the breaking ball. And the count even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Off the end of the bat, Hamilton comes in to get it. The Reds will bat in the bottom of the 8th. They have the heart of the order coming up. Peraza, Votto, Suarez in a 1-1 game.
Reds Live postgame set, or it started to rain. Good spot to go. Reds Live postgame presented by Performance Kings Honda. As soon as we're done on the field, Jeff Pecoro in the clubhouse, I'll be on the desk to put the capper on this series and this homestand for the Reds.
Well, it could be a better time for the Reds to score to break this 1-1 tie with a rain here, and we're told more on the way than here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Gesellman facing Peraza, slow tapper down to third, and that's a big out right there to start the inning. Now Votto, who's knocked in the Reds' only run with a single in the 6th inning. looks like try and stay with it. Very windy. And the rain falling. Votto played in this kind of weather all the time as a kid growing up outside Toronto with about a 30-degree drop. Two and 0. I mean, both teams, the umpires, everybody wants to try and get this thing in. This is travel day for everybody involved. Mets are going to Philly. Reds are going to L.A. Umpiring crew on to their next stop. And of course the fans, I mean, they're staring at a rare possibility of a game going less than 3 hours here, and you know, having the rest of the afternoon to perhaps do a few other things today. Two and 2 on Joey. Votto struck out his first 2 times against Zach Wheeler. But in money time, with 2 on in the 6th, he drove in the game-tying run. A lot of the fans now starting to make their way back to the seats. Not sure what's going on down that left field line. A lot of booing going on down there. Votto rolls out to the right side, and boy, Gesellman, I mean, he is making it look easy out there for the second time in this series. This guy, he's confident.
He's got good stuff. He's got a hard sinking fastball at 94 to 96. And Gesellman really would probably be a starter in this rotation if they had the opportunity to give him some time to develop. But his secondary pitches are where the problems come in.
Eugenio Suarez 1 for 3 in a game. Well, the Reds tied that game on that single by Votto in the 6th, but my oh my, what a chance they missed. They should be batting with the lead. In the air, and back-to-back perfect innings for the New York reliever. 9th inning around the corner. We're tied at 1. Minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Toyota for over 30 offers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places. A couple of changes for the Reds. Adam Duvall comes into play left field. And now on the mound, the Reds closer, Raisel Iglesias. Our producer is Kent Dream Weaver. Our director, Brian Filippetti. Graphics, Lauren White. Videotape, Kevin Penowit. Reds Live produced by Matt Sigafus. Coordinating producer is Bob Pennell. Our executive producer is Tom Farmer. 1-1 game. New York bats here in the top of the 9th inning. Gonzalez, followed by Devin Mesoraco, and then Michael Conforto. First pitch swinging a liner into center. And did he catch it? He did.
It was a sinking liner. Ball had some serious top spin on it.
It's a big out to start the inning. Sure, the Mets are going to take a look at that. There is no doubt about it. They want to look at it.
No, he said play on.
Oh, play on. I'm sorry. Yep, Billy got it. Good as gold out there, even though he doesn't have any gold, which is just staggering to believe. Now Mesoraco against a man, of course, he caught from time to time over the last 3 years. Ball 1. Devin, in his first start as a Met, has popped to short, struck out, and grounded out to short. Had a hit taken away on a one of 2 just beautiful plays turned in by the Red shortstop Jose Peraza.
Drop down fastball from Iglesias there, and he misses just underneath the strike zone. So one thing about Raisel Iglesias, he can throw each pitch in his arsenal from 3 different arm angles.
Dropped down again, and he's either angry at himself or angry at the umpire. I'm not sure which. He showed visible anger at the umpire in a call the other night.
Well, I think he's not mad at himself. Let's just put it that way.
3-1 account on Devin Mesoraco. Well, he's still hot. But if you give that reputation with umpires around baseball, it's not going to help you much. And he's done it now 2 days in a row. 3-2. Put him away on a breaking ball.
When you can make the ball start off the plate away with a fastball and come back, you can start your breaking ball right on the outside corner and induce a swing from a batter.
So 2 down in the inning, and here's Conforto. Reds will have, when they bat in the bottom of the 9th, Schebler, Blandino, Cruz. Should we get any further than that, Adam Duvall. And the Mets, they have 2 pitchers ready to go, 1 in a tie, and their closer, Familia, should they take the lead. Seth Lugo would come in a tie, or so it appears. Gesselman's spot is due up next. And Yoenis Cespedes stands in the on-deck circle. Cubbies and Marlins underway. Cubs a 1-0 lead at the end of an inning. And the Indians trying to end a losing streak in the 6th in front of Milwaukee 4-0. Is Iglesias hurt? Had a funny look about him out there on the mound. Maybe not. And we just heard some cackling of thunder off in the distance. Iglesias a perfect top of the ninth. Let's see if the Reds can win it in the bottom of the ninth inning and win this series. And something is wrong with Iglesias. And we've arrived in the bottom of the ninth inning. Mets scored in the third. Reds tied it, could have had more in the sixth. They had first and third with one out. They had bases loaded, or first and third, nobody out. Bases loaded, one out after scoring a run. And now they'll try and beat Seth Lugo here in the bottom of the ninth.
Saw Lugo for an inning yesterday. The only batter that it appears that he faced in his outing yesterday, which was quick, is Blandino, and he stands on deck. They're not hitting.
And that's one away. So here is Blandino after getting the first out of the inning.
You are correct. He did not face Blandino last night.
In there, a strike. Now Lugo going to go off and clean his spikes out on the back of the mound before this 2-1 pitch on the Reds' second baseman. Cruz is in the on-deck circle. Of course, the Reds do still have Tucker Barnhart. He is the only player left available on the Reds bench. They've used Jeanette. Duvall's in the game. Herrera's been used as a pinch hitter. The Mets have a pile of players left. They have only used, among the players off their bench so far, Jose Reyes. They have 4 position players still available. 2-2 on Blandino. We'll do it again.
You have to wonder if they would use Barnhart in Cruz's spot. Barnhart's got a bat standing in the dugout. But I can't imagine that you would hit him if Blandino doesn't reach.
Three and two to Alex Blandino. 2 away in the inning.
That was right down Broadway. Got a couple of guys that the Mets have used here. 2 out of the 3 ball games. Giselman and this guy. They've got some experience in the rotation. You set them in the bullpen, all of a sudden they've got a little more life to that fastball when they come out of that bullpen.
Slow breaking ball to Cruz, who's 0 for 3 in his first Red start. Has popped to short, struck out twice.
But the one thing that we have noticed from both of those guys, they come in throwing bullseyes. They're not dancing around the strike zone.
Cruz has gone on strikes, and we're off to extra innings. Mets are 3-1 in extra inning games. The Reds are 1-1. End of 9. We're tied at 1. For the 10th inning. The Mets have not had a base hit since a single by Rosario all the way back in the 5th inning against Sal Romano. The Reds have not had a hit since the 6th inning. Yoenis Cespedes to lead things off here in the 10th against Raisel Iglesias. And a foul ball back out of play. A strike 1 on Cespedes. He'll be followed by Rosario. And then the top of the order, Brandon Nimmo. Iglesias working his 2nd inning at a 1-2-3 ninth. Well, it got very dark here. It's still dark. They've turned the lights on. Boy, you'll take that all day, every day. Squibber in front of the mound to take care of Cespedes. Well, the trio of Hughes, Garrett, and Iglesias have been nearly perfect were it not for a walk by Garrett. Hughes a 1-2-3 7th. Garrett walked the first batter in the 8th, retired 3 in a row. Iglesias a perfect 9th, and now the first batter set down in the 10th. Wind beginning to pick up again as Rosario looks at a fastball, strike one.
Well, I think going back to your point, in a close ball game, the Reds bullpen has pitched rather well. At least you're giving your team an opportunity to win at the end of the ball game.
Rosario doesn't have a single home run. He took a home run like cut right there and came up empty.
Well, that's kind of like having a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and you're trying to hit it 100, or throw it 100, I should say.
And he did it on 2 pitches in a row. Rysel drops down on him and picks up his 3rd strikeout. He's retired 5 straight.
Sidearm riser. How Iglesias does that, only God knows, because he has some serious God-given talent.
So now Nimmo, who's been on base 3 times today. Well, you got to wonder why this guy's not getting a few more starts. We brought up earlier, in his 9 starts, his on base percentage is nearly .500. And we've seen already in this series where Conforto, as you pointed out, Cowboy, you know, he's a corner outfielder by trade. In the first 2 games they played him in center, and there were a couple of balls that cost some Mets on balls that Nimmo probably sticks in his pocket. And this is playable to end the inning. So the Reds will get another shot. Duvall will lead things off. Hamilton, then Winker in a 1-1 game. As A.J. Ramos takes over on the mound after a perfect inning by Lugo. Lugo, a couple of strikeouts. You know, I misspoke a moment ago when I made a comment about Jeanette. He was in the on-deck circle and was never used, as they let Cruz bat with Jeanette in the on-deck circle in that 9th inning. So he is available to bat. Ramos worked an inning plus, gave up 3 hits and a run here last night.
And you're at a point now, whether you're Mickey Callaway or Jim Riggleman, it's battle of the bullpens. And you've got to figure out matchups and who's going to face who as the lineups continue to turn.
And there's a strike to Duvall, who bats for the first time today. So the Reds do have Jeanette and Barnhart left on their bench. They're not going to hit for Hamilton because I'm not sure they have anybody else that they could put in the outfield. I mean, theoretically, there's probably somebody you could stick out there.
But even if they did, in a tie game, you really want Hamilton to be able to have coverage. And I don't think you're going to run Iglesias out there for a third inning. So you're going to see Jeanette or Barnhart, probably Jeanette, hit third in this inning. What you'd really like is to get somebody on base.
2-1 the count on Duvall. We're in the 10th. And this game is it over? It's over.
Well, if you're going to hit them when it counts. And that counts.
Adam Duvall, a laser into the second row down the left field line. A game-winning home run here in the bottom of the 10th inning. And it is now officially the 10th win of this Red season. And they win this series after dropping the opener on Monday night in thrilling fashion on this Wednesday afternoon. And needless to say, our Miller Lite hold true moment. Bang off the bat of Duvall. So that'll be a pleasant plane ride for the Redlegs, making their way across country to Los Angeles to begin a 6-game road trip, 7-game trip, 4 in LA, 3 in San Francisco. Let's go down to Jeff Piccoro standing by with the hero. Oh boy, look out, Pick. Somebody washes that stuff for Duvall. Pick's got to pay for it.
Well, the celebration continues down here on the field, and I'm getting old because I'm not getting out of the way anymore. But anyway, that's got to feel good, Adam, especially it's been a tough start to the season for you and this team.
Yeah, it did. That felt good to be able to come off the bench and help the team there. And, you know, I was excited to get the barrel to something.
Importance of this win. This is the first home multi-series or multi-game series win that you guys have had. And it's been a tough start of the year for you.
Yeah. You know, I mean, the goal is to win the series. So, you know, winning 2 out of 3 there, that's good. And, you know, we'll go out west and try to win some there.
For you personally, I don't want to say redemption or anything like that, but it's been tough for you so far. You're starting to come out of it a little bit. You saw a good pitch there. You're able to get those arms out and hit it out.
Yeah. You know, we've been putting in the work. It's just about consistency, you know, trying to get the barrel to the ball consistently and getting some good pitches to hit. So just got to be able to drive them.
Do you feel like that there's that light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, for you?
Yeah. I mean, anytime a walk-off home run there, that makes you feel pretty good. So
it makes that flight out west a lot nicer, doesn't it?
Yeah, series win, definitely.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Nice game. Adam Duvall, the walk-off home run, and it was a big one. Congratulations, Tommy. Back upstairs.
All right, Pick, good stuff. Thank you so much. Reds winners here today, 2-1 on the Duvall home run leading off the bottom of the 10th. Reds Live, the post-game version, coming up next on Fox Sports Ohio.